Now on CoastTV News.
Meet Julie Morris. She's challenging a longtime Republican for Milford's State House seat, what the Independent says she would focus on. Plus, an update on this motorcycle crash in Rehoboth Beach today. Police say the teenage driver is now in critical condition.
We're tracking just a little more rain that's knocking on our door following the dense fog that won't seem to just leave the house.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
A new contender vying to represent Delaware's 36th House District. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Christina DeRobertis. That's our top story today. Julie Morris says she plans to run for the House seat in 2026. It represents Milford and Ellendale. Morris says she will run as an independent, looking to replace the incumbent Republican Brian Shoup. He has held the seat since 2018. Morris said she's focused on things like infrastructure, protecting farmland, and supporting working families. The primary election is set for September 16th. A car accident last night in Ocean City left one man dead. Police say it happened around 10 p.m. on Coastal Highway near 122nd Street. We told you last night a lot of those streets were closed off as police were responding. Police say a 78-year-old man from Ocean View died at the scene. Also, an 18-year-old from Rehoboth Beach is in the hospital tonight with critical injuries after this motorcycle crash on Bay Vista Road. We first told you about this at 6. Delaware State Police have now provided an update. Troopers say around 3:15 this afternoon, the motorcycle was driving at a high rate of speed and flipped over after a sharp turn. You can see the motorcycle ended up underneath a Chevy truck. Bay Vista Road was closed for about 2 hours after that. Staying in Rehoboth, the city's public library is under construction. Here's a look at what it looks like inside the library right now. Half of it has been closed since early December, but as Brandon Ferguson reports, the library needs more funding to make all of the anticipated upgrades.
Jackhammering old sidewalks in front of the Rehoboth Beach Library. Fencing and ladders set aside, waiting to be used outside of the library. Inside the library, it's just this half of the library open, with books still available. Limited computers and services throughout the open section of the library. President of the library's Board of Trustees, Kay Wheatley, says they still need $1 million to pay for the rest of it.
We're still raising a little bit of money for phase 1. And then we're raising all the money for phase 2. Some of it overlaps, like the roof we've put into phase 1, but it's the whole roof. The HVAC, like some upgrades you have to do simultaneously.
Wheatley says this is just phase 1 of the total library renovation project, and it should be done by around September of this year. When phase 2 starts, the old entrance of the library will be open, while the current side that is open now will be closed while the final renovations are taking place. The total cost of the renovations is $9.8 million, funded mostly through state and federal money, but they need at least $1 million in private funds to get the job done, to transform the layout of the library. Joe Pocorni visits the library weekly and is not worried if the project gets delayed.
It's anyone that has been through construction of any type realizes that there are usually delays. So I think we just have to be patient with that.
Library renovations continuing on Rehoboth's library, but when construction stops, depends on if the $9.8 million mark is met.
That was Brandon Ferguson reporting, and work is expected to continue there throughout the summer. Plus, the Rehoboth Beach Public Library purchased more than 5 acres of land off Warrington Road, that's near Route 24, for a future second library location. The new facility expected to be more than 20,000 square feet with more parking and expanded services. Board representatives with the library say the project is still in the design phase, but once that process is complete, they'll have a better idea of what the whole thing will cost. Today in Long Neck, a gas leak brought out firefighters. The Indian River Volunteer Fire Company says they checked a large underground propane tank, but say they did not find any propane odor in the area. The tank was shut off and it was determined that the gauge was broken. The utility provider was notified. Now let's look live into Rehoboth Beach this evening. Our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams joins us now with a check on that forecast. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening to you, Christina. And we've had dense fog, tremendous fog throughout the evening hours. And it looks like we're going to have several more rounds of that in store. In Ocean City right now, we're holding at 40 degrees. The winds are relatively calm. Blast pushing out of the north relatively gently. Now, we're going to have light sprinkles at 1 o'clock, but then the dense fog will begin to kind of ooze its way back into our neck of the woods and just kind of cover us and hover over us throughout the morning hours. Now, we have, once again, dense fog advisories along the coast. This is mainly marine fog advisories from Ocean View, Edgewater Acres to Ocean City and West Ocean City, and reaches all the way up throughout the Sussex County beaches as well. Now, we are seeing a line of scattered showers making its way out of the Baltimore area and really moving to the most northern portions of the state. We may have some residual sprinkles as a result of that, but generally speaking, we're staying relatively quiet. As we go into Friday, it looks like we're going to have a lot of low-level moisture. All this that you see is that looks like it's going to be those low-level clouds and a bit of fog still hovering over us as we go into a weekend, which is still expected to feel a lot like spring. It just won't look all sunshiny-ish.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Looking regionally now, the Wilmington DMV is reopening, but with an appointment system. This is happening Tuesday, March 10th, starting at 8 a.m. The reopening follows a months-long closure after Delaware State Police Corporal Ty Snook was shot and killed at the DMV before Christmas. The appointment-only system will remain in place for at least 1 month. Also, a new nonprofit is being formed to honor fallen state trooper Ty Snook and to support families facing similar loss. The Ty Snook Foundation is being created to help the spouses and children of fallen officers across the country with building connections, sharing experiences, and finding long-term support. Well, the national battle over redistricting is taking center stage in Virginia. Tomorrow, starting at 8:30 in the morning, Virginians will have the first chance to weigh in on Democratic-led redistricting. Currently, Democrats hold 6 of Virginia's 11 U.S. House seats, but the proposed map redraws districts in a way that could ultimately give them a 10-to-1 advantage. The referendum, if passed, would empower the General Assembly to redraw districts ahead of the November midterms. Leaders on Virginia's Eastern Shore say that a potential change in representation would slow progress on local priorities.
Red tape and different things in there that prevents you from doing business or makes doing business a whole lot slower. And we can't continue to run on things like that. You know, we need to get in there, vote in the person you want to vote for, and get the business done.
While early voting tomorrow, the referendum is set for April 21st. Polls will open at 8:30 tomorrow morning in Accomack County. In Maryland, workers could soon see bigger paychecks. The state's minimum wage currently sits at $15 an hour, but new proposals in Annapolis could bump that up to $18 or $25 an hour. The Living Wage for All Act would raise hourly pay every year until 2030, a 67% increase in just a few years. Supporters argue it would help workers keep up with rising prices, but business advocacy groups say that kind of jump could mean fewer jobs and higher costs.
These employees that could be making $25 an hour, they're either going to have less hours or they're going to have to find a new job because these employers are not going to be able to keep on all of the employees because of these added costs.
Now, supporters say raising wages can reduce turnover and boost spending, but opponents are arguing employers on the lower shore may respond by cutting hours or trimming staff, even raising prices as that legislation moves forward. Making national headlines tonight, Operation Epic Fury in its 6th day, and despite President Trump and top military officials promising victory, they've also promised that the war will escalate and intensify. This as there is growing political fallout in Washington. Sherelle Hubbard has the latest details.
The concurrent resolution is not adopted.
A measure in the House that sought to rein in the president's war powers failed Thursday. the House voting it down 219 to 212. Senate Republicans rejected a similar resolution Wednesday.
The United States military, together with the wonderful Israeli partners, continues to totally demolish the enemy far ahead of schedule.
President Trump continuing to commend the U.S.-Israeli military campaign against Iran on Thursday. That's as Israel and Iran continue to trade attacks. Iran firing missiles at Israel. Conversely, Israel says it's moving to the next phase of the war and carrying out more strikes. According to state-affiliated Islamic Republic news agency, more than 1,200 people have been killed in Iran since Saturday. U.S. military leaders say the campaign is establishing total dominance against Iranian forces.
Ballistic missile attacks have decreased by 90% since day one. Drone attacks have decreased by 83% since day one.
President Trump on Thursday claimed that Iran has reached out in hopes of working out a deal to end the war.
How do we make a deal? I said, you're being a little bit late, and we want to fight now more than they do.
On the House floor, 6 U.S. service members killed in Operation Epic Fury were remembered with a moment of silence.
A moment of silence in honor of our fallen.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
We are just getting started tonight. Coming up, gas prices climbing in Sussex County. How much a gallon of gas has gone up just this week. And coming up, Paul Williams in our CoastTV First Alert Weather Center with a look at your full forecast. But first, one patrol car, dozens of donations, and community coming together. How one cruiser is helping to fight hunger in Millsboro. That's next.
The Millsboro Police Department is teaming up with Chorus Wellness and Behavioral Health to help fight hunger one donation at a time. Coast TV's Nicole Richter shows us how the community is coming together to help support neighbors in need.
So yeah, you can see it's starting to fill up quite a bit.
Outside the Millsboro Police Department, a patrol car wasn't responding to emergency calls. It was helping the hungry. The department partnered with Chorus, a local nonprofit, for its Stuff the Cruiser food drive, inviting the community to donate non-perishable items for local families in need.
We need to help one another.
Police say every item collected goes directly to local food pantries. For Clay Hayward, who works with Chorus, the mission hits close to home.
It means a lot because myself, I'm a recovering addict. I have like 17 years clean now. And, it's good to give back, not forgetting where you came from.
Police Chief David Moyer says food insecurity remains a challenge for many households in Millsboro, and events like this help address the issue.
We want to get to the root of a lot of the issues here in Millsboro crime-wise, and Chorus is doing their part to help the community, and anything that we can do to kind of support their mission and their cause, we're all about it.
Organizers say the need for food assistance has grown in recent years, especially for working families who may not qualify for certain aid programs, but still struggle to make ends meet. Community members like Dale Argott say giving back is part of their calling.
One of the things that my wife and I really believe in as clergy in this community is that it's important to help those, the Bible gives us commandments to help the least of these, and so that's why we want to just be a small part of that.
Bringing law enforcement, nonprofits, and the community together under one shared goal. For Coastal Connections, I'm Nicole Richter.
Despite all the fog, it was still a beautiful day in the neighborhood because, hey, it wasn't snowing, it wasn't blizzard, and temperatures were well above freezing. And we're like that right now. We're at 38 degrees in Rehoboth with the winds gently blowing out of the north. Now, the dense fog is going to stick around, particularly for the beaches. But other than that, we got a couple of sprinkles by, let's say, 1 o'clock because I have another line of showers that actually began to push through the area. But then after that, more in the way of some dense fog. Now here's that stream of rain that's trying to make its way through. It's in the most northern portions of the Delaware Peninsula. I can hardly pick it up on the screen actually right now. But we do have dense fog along the beaches, along really a good portion of the Sussex County area and beaches, but also that reaches down from Ocean City all the way down to the south. Now this is the long line of scattered showers. Now the bottom half of this that's near Dongren, that's what's going to swing across our neck of the woods, but it's going to take until 1 o'clock in the morning for it to reach most of us. Temperatures pretty close to where they were just 24 hours ago, maybe a couple of degrees below that, but still, that's pretty good. Today we had a high of 63 degrees. Listen, we're just steadily upping the ante as we progress a little closer to the weekend. 52 is now the normal high for this time of the year, and 79, well, that was the record set in 1961. So we look at the one set of rain that's going to push through quickly, and then another set of rain comes to kick through for us on early Saturday morning. But along the coast, we're looking for cloudy skies again, a bit foggy and dense fog pretty much in the morning time for Chincoteague, and then we're looking for cloudy skies just about everywhere else. So Friday morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, 42 to 43 degrees, for example, in Long Island and then Millsboro. By the afternoon, we have a strong flow of air that's coming off the water, so it's going to add more moisture and kind of cut us off from the sun, so we're not going to have a chance to really warm up nicely. We're still going to be nice and warm, mild anyway. And then as we go into Saturday, a little blip of rain just north of Seaford by 7 o'clock in the morning along Highway 13. And then we'll start seeing things clear out. Now, the winds will push out of the south, and we're looking for a big-time warm-up when the skies finally cleared for that just brief little period of time, pushing temperatures quickly into the 60s. Dense fog, that's our big thing. Friday morning, dense fog for all the beaches. Clears out, and then by Friday evening, the dense fog makes a comeback, particularly in Dewey Beach, Rehoboth, and Lewis. Then for Saturday, everybody's covered with the fog, no matter where you go. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Now, keep in mind, I've been talking noise about this. I've been huffing and puffing to everybody in the newsroom. But I'm talking about Wednesday. Before we get to next Wednesday, I'm putting all my money on the fact that we may crack 80 degrees. I could be a little wrong, but regardless of that, it's going to be a nice, warm kind of day.
Oh my goodness, that is so exciting. Thanks, Paul. Well, gas prices are climbing across Sussex County, according to AAA. The average price for a gallon of regular gas in Delaware was around $2.90 last month. Now drivers are seeing prices closer to about $3.07 per gallon. AAA says the war in Iran, plus seasonal demand and changes in fuel production, can push those prices higher this time of year as refineries switch to summer gasoline blends.
When the oil and gas people know there's going to be a push on it, the prices start going up. They don't want to miss out on any of the additional profits they can be making.
AAA added that there has been a 15-cent increase since the start of the year until now. And this does bring us to our Coast TV poll. We're asking, what worries you about rising gas prices? Let's look at the results. 10% say commuting cost, 65% most people say family budget, 17% with travel plans, and 8% worried about business costs. Thanks for voting, and you can still vote. Just go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. And speaking of, the war with Iran continues to cause shockwaves across the world. It's disrupting air travel and causing chaos at some of the world's busiest airports. Tonight, Lee Waldman tells us what Americans in the region are being advised to do.
As Operation Epic Fury continues, some Americans are caught in the middle.
We have about 1,500 Americans that are requesting assistance with departure.
The State Department has urged U.S. citizens to depart now from countries throughout the Middle East due to serious safety risks. But the limited number of flights poses a challenge, which is why the Trump administration is working on options for charter, military, and expanded commercial flights.
We need to have contact information for Americans that need assistance. They have to register with us because as these options begin to open up, and as they open up, we have to be able to call you, we have to be able to reach you.
Americans in the region are being asked to call or register with the State Department for help. Several U.S. embassies in the Middle East have closed, but the State Department notes help is still available.
We are continuing to work 24/7 in this interagency task force to help Americans in those countries to leave should they desire to do so.
President Donald Trump was asked Tuesday why there were no evacuation plans in place for Americans ahead of the weekend strikes.
Because it happened all very quickly. I thought we were going to have a situation where we were going to be attacked.
The ongoing conflict is causing travel chaos. Thousands of flights have been canceled internationally since Sunday, according to data from FlightAware.com. In New York, I'm Lee Waldman.
Coming up tonight in sports, playoff basketball getting serious on the Eastern Shore. Find out which teams survived and advanced in just a bit. And coming up, it's almost time to spring forward. What health experts say you should do now to make that time change a bit easier.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
A new study suggests the popular weight loss drugs might also be able to help addiction. The researchers studied about 3 years of health records for more than 600,000 veterans with type 2 diabetes. They were treated with either GLP-1 medicines or another type of medication. The researchers found those who took the weight loss drugs were less likely to develop substance abuse disorders. And those who took the GLP-1 medicines were also less likely to overdose if they'd already been diagnosed with a substance abuse disorder. Maternal mortality rates in the U.S. have dropped to their lowest levels in recent years. The CDC reported a rate of just under 18 deaths per 100,000 births in the U.S. in 2024. And that is the lowest figure since 2018 after a spike during the COVID pandemic. The CDC report found the Black maternal death rate was more than 3 times that of white women and Hispanic women. Don't forget, daylight savings time starts Sunday. You're going to move your clocks ahead by an hour. Tonight, Mandy Gaither has more on how to prepare now so that you can spring forward without losing too much sleep.
It's that time of year again. Sunday, March 8th, spring forward an hour starting at 2 a.m.
With spring forward specifically, people tend to have a little bit more difficulty acclimating to it.
Michelle Drerup with Cleveland Clinic says data shows this shift in time can lead to a rise in cardiovascular events and accidents. Sleep disruptions can also affect mood due to grogginess, headaches, fatigue, and increased irritability.
We just want to be cautious if you're driving in those early mornings after the time change. Sometimes people may decide like, okay, I'm going to on that Monday morning, I'm not going to schedule anything that takes, a lot more focus or high kind of, attention tasks.
Drerup says preparing now before the time change is key. Start by gradually adjusting bedtime and wake time. Go to bed 15 to 20 minutes earlier and wake up 15 to 20 minutes sooner. She says it's especially important for children and teens.
So it's not a big hour chunk at one time.
Maximizing light exposure in the morning is also key. Drerup says opening the blinds and going outside to walk will help wake you up. And while it's tempting, she says to avoid midday snoozes and not to compensate with over-caffeination.
Which may help in that moment or for that day, but then potentially puts us at risk for having more difficulty falling asleep that night, depending on timing of when a nap or caffeine use is occurring.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Good evening, Delmarva. Playoff basketball is rolling in both Delaware and Maryland. Let's get into a little bit of the action from Thursday night, and there was no shortage of excitement. Up north, Smyrna came back from down 38-31 with less than a minute to play to win 49-46 in overtime against the Sanford School. Senior Chase Sullivan knocked down big threes down the stretch, and Logan Shaw got the clutch rebound and putback to send the game to OT. Next up, the Eagles face Dover in the quarterfinals. Speaking of Dover, the Senators beat St. Elizabeth 54-46. They continue their scorched earth path through Delaware schools, still yet to lose to a Delaware school this season. And in Maryland, the Y-High girls team went down to Stevensville and picked up a 37-32 win over Kent Island, making them regional champions. Congrats to the Y-High girls on raising a trophy. Rounding out tonight's sports, here's Ian Nicholas with the latest edition of Athlete Academy. In another girls' regional final out in Berlin, Decatur fell to South River 40-38 on 2 free throws at the end of the game. The Seahawks led 38-35, but the Seahawks of South River rattled off 5 straight to win the game and capture the 3A East regional title. Congrats to the Stephen Decatur girls on an incredible 2025-26 season. That'll do it for sports. Have a great night, everyone.
Now here's a live look into a very foggy Milford tonight. We've got one more check on your forecast after this.
Peak bloom dates are March 29th to April 1st.
There you have it. The cherry trees around Washington, D.C.'s tidal basin are expected to reach peak bloom March 29th until April 1st. Officials kicked off the National Cherry Blossom Festival this morning at the Mayflower Hotel. That marks the start of the spring season and the countdown to those iconic, beautiful cherry blossom trees.
I'm like him. I'm frozen with joy. Exactly. All right. We're at 43 degrees right now in Milford. We're going to stay at about 43 degrees with increasing dense fog for us going into the early morning hours. Live radar, we're clear for right now, but we have a little bit of rain that's indeed on the way, likely to pay us a visit by about 1 o'clock in the morning. Dense fog advisories along the Atlantic side of the Delmarva Peninsula. Now, as you take a look at our umbrella giveaway winner, Kathy Gibson of Millsboro, congratulations. You're our umbrella winner, courtesy of Paul Davis, Property Restoration Experts. Now, you can always keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line. It's updated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The number to call is 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away. Sponsored by the law offices of Bruckstead, Mandalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. Now, to be honest, we are going to dip a little bit below the norm. The norm is about 52 degrees. We'll only get up to 48 because it's going to be so cloudy. Not just cloudy tomorrow. It's going to be so cloudy. Then we'll warm to 68 on Saturday and 72 with a little rain on Sunday.
78 next Wednesday. I think I'm feeling a little sick. Thank you, Paul, and thanks for joining us for the news at 11. You can find more news and local weather. Just download our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show is up next, and we'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News Today at 5 a.m. Have a great night.